Okay, today I'm going to show you how to change one of these. Now this is a cold idle valve. It does exactly what it says on the tin. When the car is cold, it makes it idle differently so that the car keeps running. It gets the right amount of fuel and air mixed into the engine so it all runs correctly. Now they're pretty straightforward to fit, but they're fiddly and it's hard to see what's going on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by showing you some on the engine, and then we're going to go in and look at an engine on the bench, and I'll show you the other bits on there. So this is the valve. You can see here the valve on the back of the engine, and here's the new one that we want to put in its place. Now I'm going to show you the first couple of bits while we're on the engine here, which is removing the pipe and the electrical plug, and then I'll show you the rest on the motor on the stand. So the first thing that we need to do is remove this electrical plug here at the back. Now these are pretty fiddly to do. What you want is something like this, like a pick or a really small screwdriver, and what you're trying to do is just pull. There's a little metal clip that you just release with the pick and it comes out like this. Now you can see the clip here, and then in the back of the electrical plug is this metal clip. Now sometimes you can take the clip out like I just did then by releasing it, but other times you'll have to actually remove this little metal staple from the back of the clip to get it to come out. And just be careful that as it comes off you don't lose this clip, because it's very easy for it to spring off. It is like a little staple and it will ping off everywhere, so be careful, because I'm not sure if you can get them. But you can see here what happens is this clip locks back in to the electrical plug. So if we look at the new one now, you can see that that will clip back into there and the metal staple will lock the little pegs in. So you need to take that out to get the old one out, and we'll put the clip safely up there so it stays out the way. The second thing you need to do is remove this, which is the air pipe. So I've just loosened this off a little bit already. That's ready to come off. The way that I suggest doing this is just using a flat screwdriver and just gently prising it like I am now. Hopefully in a second this will just start to ease off. So like I said, this is a pretty easy job. You've got a pipe and an electrical plug, and then at the bottom you've got the two bolts to get out. So that's the air hose out the way. You can see with this one it's got a tiny split in it, but as you take yours off, just be careful that it hasn't got any big splits, because if it's got an air leak you will get the same fault. You will still get the car stalling when it's cold. Let's go and have a look at the engine on the bench, and I'll show you how to remove the bolts, because they're fiddly and you can't see them very well from here. So here is the idle valve on the back of our engine. So this is obviously the bit behind the bulkhead in the car, so this is the bit you can't see. Now once you've got the electrical plug and the air pipe off the back, the only thing you need to do is just undo these two bolts. You've got one here at the top. Now this one isn't too bad to get to, and you can typically remove it with a spanner if this ever comes out. You can normally get something like a ring spanner or a short socket like this one on the end of it. The one at the bottom down here is much more tricky. Now with it out the car I can get whatever I need to on the end of it, but when it's in the car you've only got a really small bit of clearance between the bulkhead here and the back of that. So before you do this job, put a put a spanner in there or a socket and wrench in there and check that you've got fitment. So the one I'm using here is the same one that I would use on the car, and that's because the distance here is about right. So that's sort of that size, and you can get it in over the back. Then once everything drops off, you've got your valve that's come out here. You can get the new one in place. You can bolt it all together first and then connect up the vacuum pipe and the other piece at the end. My one really important big tip for you: make sure, get this on dead straight, get as good fit as you can, put some WD-40 on it before. These little bolts that hold the cold idle valve into the body of the intake unit, really common for those to break. So be careful, because if they break, you have to try and get a snapped stud out of the back of the inlet manifold, and that is possible, but it's a pain. So that's my top tip for you: be careful. If they feel like they're going to snap, just stop. So that's it. Cold idle valve, run better from cold, use better fuel, better air, be a better car. Cheers guys.